deadly. It's a really clean answer to say.
You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Round 5 for the third weekly of the Eternal Tournament Series, Season 5. I am, of course, your host, Bairdrus, and once again, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Sir Rhino.
Hello, yeah, we're 5 rounds in, just a couple more till we get to cut to top 8, and we've got a doozy of a match here. We've got ManuS on Skycrag aggro, or as he's calling it, Skycrag deck wins. A deck we touched on early on in the tournament before it even began during our pregame talk about how Bairdrus and the Skycrag Champion of Fury is going to certainly prop up that deck, and it's been doing well so far in this tournament. Meanwhile, TheSkeejay is on a Praxis mid-range list, so again, more Heart of the Vault here. This one also featuring some Soulfire Drakes alongside Sandstorm Titan, and another card that I've been wanting to touch on that's coming out of Praxis, and that's Purify. Purify is a torch that can't go to the face, and it costs 3 in Praxis, but it also silences, and it's more importantly a fast silence, which is something Eternal hasn't seen until this set. We didn't have any silences at fast speed, unless you want to count Desert Marshal as an ambush in set 1. And now we've got this Purify card and also Bring Down as fast speed silences. And that's going to change a lot of combat math in spots and just how certain scenarios can work out. No longer is it just, well, this is bad if they have a Desert Marshal. It could be this is bad if they have Purify or Bring Down too. And that'll be cool to see play out in the future and maybe even in this match.
Certainly. And on the other side of the table, we have ManuS, as we said, playing Skycrag aggro. And he's playing an interesting build. There's kind of been a somewhat of a polarization between the minds of the deck builders as to which way you build Skycrag aggro. A lot of players are building it with Obliterates and Soulfire Drakes to kind of top out the end and taking out more of the weapon-oriented cards like Shogun Scepter, still keeping in the Ornate Katanas generally. And then you have the other side, which is more of the burn variant, where you're playing those cards like Obliterate, Soulfire Drake, Caleb's Favor, Cloud Snake Harrier. And Cloud Snake Harrier is definitely an interesting inclusion in the Skycrag deck that we're actually not seeing ManuS play.
Right.
ManuS instead has elected to go along the Sensari Brigand Shogun Scepter route, which is very interesting. He's also stopping at 3 on his curve, which is important to note. He doesn't need power in this deck, basically. Like, his starting hand is almost always going to give him exactly what he needs to drop the rest of his hand out.
Yeah, it's important to know that ManuS is opting to essentially build for consistency here within the aggro's power base. So these players should be ready to go, or it should be starting shortly. But it's important to note that by not playing Cloud Snake Harrier and opting for, say, Shogun Scepter and Sensari Brigand and Bairdrus, all of these are double Fire Influence 3-drops. Once you try and muck it up with something like Cloud Snake Harrier, that's a double Primal Influence requirement on your 3-drop. And then you can run into the problems that we've seen out of, say, Rakano in the past, where they're trying to play both Valkyrie Enforcer and Shogun Scepter, and sometimes you get stranded with cards in hand, which is a death knell, or can be a death knell, for the aggressive deck. So Manu's opting to go with a more consistent power base, still play some Snow Crush Yetis as a 2-drop or a 1-drop primal card that you can play early, and then just have really consistent power base, trying to hit double and then triple fire for Flame Blast. We'll see how that works out. It's been working out well for him so far.
Yeah, it definitely has been. I mean, he is at 3-1, as both these players are. We do see TheSkeejay answering his Snowcrust Yeti with the Temple Scribe, which is a little unfortunate for ManuS, as Snowcrust Yeti is a very, very solid 1-drop. He would have liked to have let that one go a little bit longer, but unfortunately it's going to get traded away right here with this Temple Scribe.
Yep, Temple Scribe doing what it does. It's a 1/1 that draws you a card and trades with a 2/1. Usually it's taking out an Oni Ronin or something like that, but here it trades with the Snow Crush Yeti, which is immune to the first torch. And speaking of immunity to torch, Bairdrus, the clan father, comes down, the 3/2 quick draw, which is going to have some torch backup and another Vadius coming down, and nothing else after that. So these TheSkeejay's Predatory Carnosaur is currently salivating here. Same with the Heart of the Vault and all of that. He's getting ready to kill these Vadiuses eventually, but in the meantime, ManuS is going to get a lot of pressure down with these 3-2 quick draws that can't really block in the meantime.
Yeah, ManuS is going to be able to pressure TheSkeejay just a little bit, but TheSkeejay will start cracking back now that he's got this Dawnwalker down, and he's even got a second one lurking in his hand, so he will be able to follow up with that next turn if he chooses to. He could go for like an end-of-turn torch one of the Vadiuses and then drop an Obliterate into it to follow up, and then still get his crack back, so...
Yeah, I expect something like that to happen here. Just try and clear one of these Vadius, chump block the other with the Dawnwalker, maybe? I like blocking with Dawnwalker. I think you're winning this game through taking as little damage as possible, then stabilizing with 2 6/6s, which will clean it up against Skycrag. And yeah, he opts to block. Still holding on to the 1/1 Temple Scribe. It's important to note that Manu did sit on that pause for a long time with Torch the last turn, so I think TheSkeejay recognizes that Manu's probably got a Torch in hand, and opts to not Torch on end step there. I mean, fitting this Obliterate into curve is going to be a little tricky with these other 6 drops that you're hoping to play soon. But now you get to Dawnwalker and double Torch something, so it still worked out by drawing Torch there, I suppose.
Yeah, Torch was really the saving grace of this play. I have to agree. I definitely was favoring the Torch into Obliterate line here, but picking up the second Torch is going to make this all work out reasonably well, and he will have the 2 Dawnwalkers in play, so once he does eventually hit his 6th power and drops the Predatory Carnosaur or Heart of the Vault, he will be recurring 2 Dawnwalkers, and that should allow him to close the game out if he can stabilize.
Yep, so Manu draws another power. Now again, once Manu hits 7 power, he'll be able to ultimate Vadius and get a Steelfang Chakram on him, making him a 7-2 quick draw, and even once Vadius dies, that Chakram goes back to Manus' hand to give something else +4/+0. So it looks like that's going to happen. TheSkeejay is not going to be able to deal with Vadius here unless he draws an undepleted Fire Sigil. All right, Predatory Carnosaur can come down here and eat up the Vadius, and Manu can torch it to kill the Carnosaur, but he's got nothing going for him at this point, and it's going to be real hard for him to close out this game.
Yeah, with both those Dawnwalkers coming back down, this is looking pretty harrowing for ManuS, and he does pick up a Flame Blast, which is a solid power sink. The issue being TheSkeejay is still at 19 health. He's not in a position to just be burned out in this game, and now TheSkeejay is really going to get his game plan rolling. He's going to drop the Heart of the Vault. He unfortunately reduces the cost of the power by 2, but not super important here. Is TheSkeejay actually dead on board? Yes.
TheSkeejay is not dead. Manu's not dead on...
Manu.
Yeah, Manu's not dead on board. He was 1 off lethal there. That was 14 damage, but the Obliterated hand was going to finish it, and Manu kills the Heart of the Vault, realizes he can't really close the game from here anyway, and scoops it up.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is since he did have 2 Flame Blasts, if he wasn't dead on board, there is... Well, no, there isn't the out yet, because he needs the extra turn, unfortunately. Right. Yeah, he doesn't have the extra turn of going 3 Flame Blasts. He's going to be short 1 turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure if even Flame Blast, then Torch Flame Blast the next turn was quite enough. I didn't check the math, but I think TheSkeejay was at like 19 still or something like that.
It fell just short. Happen.
Yeah, maybe if he had Flame Blasted the turn before on 7, he could have had an out, but that wasn't the case. And again, the Obliterate made it a null point anyway. So sideboarding here, it looks like we're taking a look at that. TheSkeejay is bringing in a Healer's Cloak. Sand Vipers maybe are in TheSkeejay's sideboard. I don't know if we're going to see that. It is a 1/2 deadly. Kind of doesn't block. It does block things, but it's not trading up with anything. Maybe just to lower your curve, it makes sense. Wouldn't be shocked to see these Soulfire Drakes maybe come out and go with a more defensive stance there. But yeah, other than that, I don't know what else is coming in for TheSkeejay, right? The Healer's Cloak in, Soulfire Drake out, something like that. Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable to me here. It looks looks like he hasn't cut him yet, so I think he is going to keep the Sand Vipers in. They might be the next card up on the chopping
Yeah,
block.
he's
Though,
got 3 more cuts there, so we'll see what happens. Oh, he's going to cut down the top end. The Soulfire Drakes are still in. I guess he just wants a quick turnaround clock, but I think you should be more focused on stabilizing. Meanwhile, ManuS, from the Skycracker perspective, looked like he opted to bring in Groundbreaker, another new Omens of the Past card. 3/6 for 4 and fire is not a stat line you're used to seeing. And it prevents life gain while it's in play, for your opponents from gaining life, more specifically. And if you spark it, as in you deal damage to your opponent and then play Groundbreaker, it gets double damage, so it hits for 6 and actually eats Sandstorm type. It's a very, very powerful card.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be seeing Groundbreaker coming in here. Polymorph as well, I have to imagine, will be coming in to take care of some of those larger threats, as well as the Dawnwalkers to stop the recursion.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be the big inclusions. There might be like a 1 or 2 of here or there, but that might actually be really the only inclusions he's looking for here.
Looks like he trimmed a Yeti, some Katanas, brought in the Groundbreakers, and like you said, the Polymorphs. And important to note, Manu's got, I think, 12 sources of Warcry in this deck between the Scepters, Outlaws, and Oni Ronins. When you get a Warcry on a double damage unit, that gets scary real quick. So we'll be interested to see if that happens this game. Same thing with Vadius. Really, all of these pushed top end card, if we want to call it top end cards of Skycrag, is they have quick draw and overwhelm or double damage, and all of those things. Once you start to up their stats even a little bit more, it gets really, really scary.
It certainly does. And speaking of, we do see ManuS picking up the Recano Outlaw here. So he will start to roll those Warcry triggers onto the top unit of his deck. We also see a Groundbreaker in his hand. He will be needing a 3rd Fire Influence to play it. Meanwhile, TheSkeejay does not have a 3rd power at the current time. He's going to have to find one off the top of his deck. He does have a lot of low-end units, though, he will be able to create some blockers with, assuming he can find more power.
So this is just the dream. You're on the play, you have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and a cheap removal spell in Permafrost, and your opponent, meanwhile, missed their 3rd power and just has a couple Temple Scribes. I don't know how Praxis can come back from this kind of start, and this is exactly why you play Skycrag aggro. It's just, it can just have these. This is even the most explosive start it can have. We're not talking about like a turn 2 Yeti. We're talking about a turn 2 2/2 quick draw. And the TheSkeejay draws a torch, which can kill a Praxis Outlaw, and he's taking upwards of 11 damage or something like that next turn. I mean, this is just a nightmare for him.
Yeah, him having missed his power drop, I think is just going to lock this game up. The double damage Groundbreaker with the Vadius, I can't see a way that they possibly get out of this game. Yeah, he throws the Scepter on it, he's permafrosted. This actually, I think, might just be...
Yeah, it's going to get the scoop out.
Not quite lethal, but it was very, very close. That was 19 damage that turn.
Yeah, geez. So as we just talked about, Groundbreaker can end the game real fast, especially once you start bumping it up. And there you saw it. Certainly didn't help that TheSkeejay was not only on the draw, but also missed the 3rd power. But even if he did, I don't think he was going to have a real good shot at winning that game.
That was going to be a very tough game. We'll see if the players want to revisit their sideboards. I can't imagine, though. Both their plans are pretty much in place. And they don't have a lot of other cards they can really alter. So, yeah, it looks like we will be jumping into our 3rd game. And let's see who comes out ahead here. Let's see who's on the play. That generally makes a big difference in this matchup. Yeah,
anytime you see an aggro deck on one side of the table, the who's on the play matters for sure. And ManuS gets to go first again. The power here is a little sketchy, though. You can turn one Oni Ronin by Diplo Sealing, and then you've got to hope to draw a Sigil for the seat to be undepleted, and then even then, you're not sure when you're going to hit these 3 and 4 drops. But Manu opts to keep it just because if he does draw a Sigil, this Champion of Fury is going to have charge, and that means you're hitting your opponent for 5 on turn 2, and that's the kind of explosive upside you're looking for out of this deck. You got to take risks.
Yeah, you definitely have to take risks, and it doesn't pay off here right away. That being said, TheSkeejay doesn't have a fantastic hand himself. He's kind of just hanging out, waiting around. Champion of Impulse is a nice pickup, though, and he does have the Sand Viper to at least stave off some of the early aggression.
Opting to not torch that Oni Ronin, saving it for something else. This Champion of Fury can come down here, but the Snake can trade with it, as ManuS had only depleted power, so he can't play a threat and play a removal this turn. He's got to decide what he wants to do here. Does he want to deploy the extra threat and just trade it off with the Snake, or play a removal and hold up more removal? That could pay off as well, especially looking at the other plays TheSkeejay has available in his hand. ManuS doesn't know that his opponent could play a torch target, and holding up torch here could be a valuable thing to do.
Yeah, I think I like that line of play, though. Either using the Permafrost or the torch here, and forcing your opponent to drop another unit, and then still having the charge the next turn with the other removal to take care of it. Instead, he's essentially just trading the Champion of Fury away for 2 life, which isn't bad necessarily. And the Oni Ronin got to attack through one more turn, which is also important. So
now if you're TheSkeejay, I think you opt to play, I don't know, either one you play. I think you go Conduit because it forces them to have removal, like a 3/3 can block a 2/1. Here, by playing this 2/2, it trades with Oni Ronin. And plus, if you waited to play it, you had the 3rd time source, so it still would have been a 4/4 the next turn, just like Copper Conduit. So I think I would have preferred to play Conduit there instead, but he opts to go with the Champion of Impulse. Doesn't get to block this Oni Ronin, and ManuS doesn't get to kill the Champion of Impulse here because it's about to get a 3rd time influence. And I think what TheSkeejay wants to do is like kill something here, right? With Predator's Instinct. You're gonna have a 4/4 here.
Yeah, I think Predator's Instinct. Yeah, I mean, Manu is completely tapped down for the turn. I feel like you go Amber Acolyte and then you put Killer on it and you make it fight Vadius.
You just put it on your 4/4.
Oh, right.
And that survives Vadius.
Yeah, the only reason I don't like this, well, I guess it's about the same either way. It discourages the Oni Ronin from attacking the other way around.
Sure, but now they have to use like removal on your 2/1. That's also okay than just killing your own 2. I think both lines are fine.
Yeah, the only reason I like it the other way is it would have forced the torch out. That being said, I mean, with the Permafrost held up, it kind of didn't matter.
So now I think you Conduit on 4 and then torch the 4/3, and then ManuS will have a Polymorph, and this is just a flurry of spells, but these War Cries are adding up. At least they're only hitting Pyro Knights and opting to get down an extra threat rather than trotting out the Polymorph. And we get to see a warped in Heart of the Vault taking out an Oni Ronin. And a reduced
another Heart of the Vault.
Oh my god. So it was looking like both players were running out of gas, starting to run on fumes, and Heart of the Vault's like, nah, man, we got a lot more cards coming here.
Yeah, and this has just completely turned the game around right here. The first Heart of the Vault, of course, very big pickup, but getting the second Heart of the Vault at a discounted cost.
Oh my god. Friendly Wisp off the top with this reduced cost Heart of the Vault means you can just play it plus play Heart of the Vault, draw 3 cards. And by ace facing here, if he blocks with Pyro Knight, the Vault even gets to kill that. Oh my god, Praxis just exploded here. This is incredible.
Yeah, this is exactly where Praxis wants to be, and I struggle to see a way Manu is going to get out of this game at this point. Like, there's just so much power on the other side of the table facing him down. TheSkeejay just picked up an Obliterate. TheSkeejay has the Healer's Cloak now, too, that he can throw on the Vault to get 8 health back. So it's not even like he's in range of chaining a bunch of burn together. And Manu only has 4 power anyway, so the Flame Blasts are out of the question.
Groundbreaker stops the Healer's Cloak from gaining life here, so I'm guessing TheSkeejay will just obliterate that out of the way. Maybe draw a card off Temple Scribe first just to see what's up, and then Healer's Cloak later. So I think this is a pretty straightforward play. Just get that Groundbreaker out, clear the way for gaining life from your Temple Scribe, draw a torch, and this is just it.
He drew
Manu
the torch.
just has nothing left to withstand this kind of assault.
Yeah, and he does in fact throw out the concession, realizing that he's been beat. I was just such a brutal beating there towards the end. I mean, the heart of the vault really was the kicker. Like the first heart of the vault was going to be very, very solid by itself, but the second one is just salt in the wood.
Yeah, like Manu kept a bit of a risky hand. It only had 2 power, one of which was depleted. Just drew into more depleted power, and it really disrupted the potentially explosive start he was hoping for. And he just couldn't quite close out the game before Praxis just started drawing a million cards and playing huge threats that were also killing Manu's threats that were on the board. That was just disgusting.
Yeah, if Manu's power had been undepleted, instead of having all those depleted seats, I absolutely think that game would have gone in the other direction. I think ManuS definitely could have brought that game down, but with the awkward timing of all the depleted power, he just wasn't able to hit his threats on curve and start applying the right pressure that he needed.
Yeah, but as we saw from that second game, and even the other 2 games, Skycrag has some incredible potential to just have these explosive curve-out games, and then still have some action in the mid-game on the back of their quick draw units, their war cries on various things, charge units that can come off the top. The deck just is clearly a powerful deck, even though it didn't quite work out there because, hey, Praxis is also strong, it turns out. We've been seeing Praxis have a lot of success today, and SkeeJay's riding that right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Predator's Instinct was another big card there. Being able to take care of Vadius that early, and it just didn't quite come together. But as you said, I mean, Praxis very, very strong, but Skycrag also extremely strong. You can't just take one match like that and obviously call it the sample size. We're going to see hundreds and hundreds of games of Skycrag. I'm absolutely sure of that. That deck is very strong and it is here to stay.
That was a really fun matchup. I'll say that. You know, just seeing some different kind of aggressive threats show up there. That was a joy.
Definitely more exciting than the old Stones Card v Rakano matchups we're used to.
Yeah. Hey, we still got some war cries and stuff going on there, so that was still fun. I don't know if we're working on a backup match, but in the meantime, let's do one of your favorite pastimes, Bairdrus, and plug a wonderful website, aReNGeeEternal.com.
Absolutely. So head on down, everybody, to www.aReNGeeEternal.com. There you can find fantastic articles written by some of the best players in the game. We got great articles from aReNGee himself, of course, Lights Out Ace, Neon. We got Rekenner writing articles as well. I'm pretty sure he does our tournament write-ups. Loco Pojo, of course, one of the best brewers in the game. So we got fantastic articles from all those players. You can also check out our ranked tier lists where you can find out what we think that the metagame is currently looking like at the top of the ladder. That's up in the, the high master tiers. We got people like Lights Out Ace, aReNGee, Pojo, Neon, all contributing to the tier list to find out which deck we think is the strongest at the time. You can also find our stock deck list. The stock deck lists are going to be modeled after most of the decks that are in the tier list. So if you're looking through the tier list and you're seeing a deck that you feel is really strong and you want to go ahead and give it a try, you can go ahead and check out a stock list and just export it and import it straight into your game. Also, you can find, of course, all of our tournament information where you can find out about all the aReNGee Eternal tournaments that we do, the ETS matches, the ETS weeklies every Saturday. You can find our calendar on there that'll give you full information, find out when the weeklies are, the invitationals, and, of course, our mid-year major and the annual championships. So if any of that information interests you or you just want some good Eternal content to check out, feel free to head on down to www.aReNGeeEternal.com.
That was truly an artful performance. Absolutely great.
They're just so used to running it down at this point. Eventually you practice it enough.
I live for that. Oh, man. Put that on the highlight reel.
Yeah, we'll be getting that one up later for you folks. We're going to clip that, and we're going to have that on repeat for the next few VODs. So don't worry. We know you want to see some of those exciting matches from earlier in the day, but instead you get to hear me do these wonderful plugs. So stay tuned. Make sure you're going to check those out.
Yeah, looks like there's only one match left in the round, so we're going to be calling it there, and we'll be getting back for round 6 action in just a moment.
Yeah, stay tuned, folks. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with round 6 action in just a few moments.